Okay, we are live.
Yes, we are. I'm Chloe,
I'm Sandy.
and this is WordStitch.
So welcome if this is your first time here. And it could be for some of you. We are basically a virtual write-in, and what we're gonna do is write for most of this time and chat about like nonsense, but not nonsense, because this time we actually are going to try to stick to things like our tech and
Nonsense.
our writing
Yeah.
breaks. So hopefully you get a lot of writing done and some information about things that'll help you write.
And that you want us to talk about, let us know because we will talk about whatever you want us to talk about. Even like highly personal stuff. Like we might lie about it or like skirt the issue, but we will not ignore your comment. Yeah.
I love it. Even highly personal stuff. Whatever you want, we
Yeah.
will
Like
give you.
whatever you want to ask us, feel free to ask.
So, Chloe, what are you working on today?
I am still working on my increasingly late Christmas romance.
All right, all right. A little bit of Christmas in January,
Yeah,
and I don't think is the Christmas season technically over. I think
you
religiously
know,
speaking, it goes on.
it's funny. Well, it very well, not just like figuratively, but literally goes on for me. Because I still haven't been able to take down my Christmas tree.
Oh,
That was going to happen yesterday, and then Sandy has been hearing all about how my roommate ruined my weekend for me. So the Christmas tree is still up. But I also there was just a submission call for Christmas romances
hmm.
that I believe it's going to end before I finish my story. But so like now is absolutely the time of year to be writing Christmas stuff. Karina, I believe, just put out a submission call for holiday, and they have extended it like through like October through December holidays.
Oh,
Um, yeah. So like if you've got a Halloween romance or a Kwanzaa romance or a Rosh Hashanah, is that when that falls?
I don't know, but somebody should write a Hashan romance. I think we probably don't have enough of those.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's very few of them. Certainly in the English language.
So okay, so you're writing holiday romance, and I am on my reader magnet again. Although, so last week I was writing my reader magnet, except it was a different story. I ultimately decided time travel dynasty was a little complicated. Um, so we've moved to like friends to lovers, same apartment building. It's gonna be easy, simple, sweet.
Yes,
So
that makes me feel a lot better about a magnet because it doesn't need to be complicated. It's just a showcase of your style.
and we should totally talk about that during the writing section because it was a really good tip. But we should write because it is
Yes,
4:05.
we should. I got real smart this time and made a whole bunch of timers, and
Hey,
now I have to actually find the right one. Um, oh, I'm almost there, I swear. Why is this not working? Oh, I think I've got things too short. I'm almost out of my technical difficulty area. Almost. There we go. Look at me. I'm magic. So yeah, we're gonna do this timer for 10 minutes. You're just gonna write for the next 10 minutes. If you need a prompt, we are doing single word prompts today. I believe our prompt right now is cats.
that is right. So good luck, everybody.
Yes. Wow, I have a pile of them behind me. Okay, go ahead and start now.
Okay, we are back.
We are.
Oh, and we are back with sound too. I was nervous about that. But we're okay.
Yes, if you watched last week, we apologize for the sound issues. It was all Sandy's fault.
It was totally all my fault. But we blamed it on Chloe. So
Yeah.
apologies, double apologies to the audience and to you, Chloe, for being bad, Sandy.
Go.
Yes. Okay. So how'd your words go?
I got 211. And also an absolutely adorable picture of my cats. It was so like I probably could have got like 260, but I don't know if I can get what's happening here. Did that get them? Are they in frame?
Oh yes, they are in.
Look at my children. Are they not
They're
the
super
most
cute.
adorable children ever? Far more adorable than human children. Yes.
I approve of sharing pictures of the cats instead of human children. I think there's not enough sharing of cat pictures actually. It's a thing that we should do. But okay, so it's our tech tip break. So we should think about what tech we want to talk about this week. Do you have anything in particular that you've been using this week, Chloe?
I guess technically we should have figured this out before we went live, huh?
Technically we should have, yes, but we did not. We didn't do it.
I don't really, except I have been going through some struggles with WattPad. But like struggles that turned out to be easily fixed. So I discovered that there is a problem with posting on it. If you're like me and you write on several devices, I use a laptop, a tablet, and my phone to write on. I discovered that sometimes they get like super wonky out of sync. Yeah. So, but I also discovered that they have like on each of their, like when you go to edit your chapters, they do have an option to they have a whole revision history. So like every single autosave that they have is there. So if it's something where WattPad messes up, and this happens, you can fix it. And also if you mess up, which is the good news in all of this, if you write something, if you're only writing in WattPad and you're not being good about saving it, and then you like do a really dumb edit or whatever, you can actually go back and fix it. So little good news there, I guess.
That's really interesting. I mean, it never really occurred to me to write on WattPad. Like when I was doing it, I was always writing in Scrivener and then copying and pasting into WattPad. But if they autosave and like your revision history is there, then that's a vote in favor of WattPad, and I am not a huge fan of them. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's the funny thing is that I've always liked them for writing on my phone. If for whatever reason that is the technology that I'm dealing with, their app is really good for writing on the phone. I mean it's just like whatever normal swipe or whatever. But I guess it just is like a bigger image. It's clearer to see, and the formatting doesn't get super wonky with it. So that was always the one perk that I had with WattPad.
Yeah. So the social site that I post on regularly is fanfiction.net, and it's a nightmare as far as formatting goes. It does not autosave. Like you have to sort of like you have to copy and paste, then save once, and then like the program will sort of reformat things. Then you have to go back through and fix all your text. It's a disaster. So it could, but I still like the forum. I think it's a kind of easy. It's easier for me to find my people there. As far as technology that I am using this week, I think that my primary has been Excel, because I have spent.
Oh yeah, because you've been doing the spreadsheets for your plan.
Yeah,
your 2019 plan.
And so for the viewers, I'm basically like plotting out all of the different projects that I want to do between now and December, and trying to figure out how many words do I need to achieve each month to actually get things out the door, by which I mean self-published, or I don't know, submitted on fanfiction.net, whatever. And what can I do in a month? But I've also included things like social media tracking, which I've never really thought about before. And I am not a huge person for counting daily word counts. Like usually I only do that during Nano, but this year I'll be tracking not just like daily word counts, but how many words I'm drafting in each of my different projects. So like if I have 2 projects, did I draft 1,000 in one and 2,000 in another? And also things like editing. So I included revision, editing, proofreading, possible publication dates. It was like intense. But I think that this is a really good exercise, and I was a little opposed to doing it because I felt like I might overplan, and I do. I always overplan. I probably spent like 2 weeks too many on that stupid Excel spreadsheet. But at the same time, part of the reason I spent so much time on it is I really don't have a sense right now of what I can do because I wasn't tracking last year. So
Yeah.
and like I don't know how many words I can accomplish each month, or if there are trends. Like maybe I do better in the winter than the summer. Maybe the camp months are better or worse for editing or drafting or whatever. So I think that this is a useful exercise, and I think the social media stuff too. Like we don't really pay attention to, or at least I don't track things like my Twitter followers. But I think you have to if you want an author platform. So this year, I'm going to be tracking.
I have to use Twitter.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
And the thing with Twitter is that I know it's like actually a pretty good site for writing. Like it's got a really strong writers community on it. I just don't, I never think about it, but I tell myself every time like this, I need to start using it.
I mean, the issue is that you need readers, right? So it's not just that you need writers. You actually need people who are interested in your stories to be finding you.
But even like the beta reading and stuff like that, like you
True.
can get those readers.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Actually, we should talk about that. I have not done that too much myself, but one of these weeks we should make Twitter or social media our tech thing. Because it's hard. What?
We need to both get better at it first.
Yeah, no, that's probably true. Okay, so we'll schedule that for like August.
One day we'll get good at it, and then we'll tell you guys how to get good at it.
Yeah.
I have faith in this, I swear.
No, I think we will though. I mean, I think that there's a lot to be said for marketing as writers, right? Like you can't just write; you have to be your own marketer. So I mean, at least for me, that's my weak spot. Like 100% is the worst thing about writing, but you have to learn it.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna have a massive learning curve this year, Chloe. I think it's going straight up.
Yeah,
because there's nowhere else.
This is the year that we learn to actually like do something with all of those words that we have
right.
have amassed.
Do something that might get us paid, even small amounts of money.
Yeah. Give me money, just a little bit of money, and I'll be happy with it.
Same. Okay, so we're moving on to our sprint.
Yes, we are.
All right, and with the optional prompt dance.
Yes. So yeah, go ahead and start, and we will see you at 4:50.
I also uh I also lost track of time there, which is good, right? This means that we're both writing productively.
Kind of.
Kind of.
But how was your workout?
Okay, let's see here. I'm calculating for the day, so my like word tracker is a little bit messed up, but
I was gonna say when you were talking earlier about tracking your words, this might like make things like way too super complicated for your spreadsheet. But something else that's worthwhile checking, especially for you because you're doing this pretty much full time,
mm-hmm.
is checking your time counts or your word counts per hour
Mm-hmm.
and seeing what time of day you're most productive at.
Yeah, no, that's actually really smart. So this was 7:41, and yeah, like so this morning between 9 and noon, I wrote 3,490 words. So that's a pretty fast clip. That's
Yeah. Yeah, that's really fast.
mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't normally come up with that a 3 hour break or a 3 hour sprint.
Well, I don't normally try. I'm not normally saying to myself, I need to get my butt in my seat and write for 3 hours, right? Like I'm saying I need to write for 30 minutes. So this is really one of the first times I've ever sat down and gone, I must write for 3 hours. And it didn't suck. So what about you? What's your word count for this one?
I only did, let's see, gosh, I didn't even hit 500. But I had a couple of distractions. So that's okay. I'm okay with what I got there.
So this is our writing break, right? And
Mhm.
in the beginning, you said something about the reader magnet that you approve of me going with simple stories. And I think that's a good discussion to begin with. So, one of the things that I'm finding challenging about what I'm trying to do this year is I want to write romance novels, but I don't want them to be over tropey. And at the same time, I need them to not be too complex because too complex means you can't get it finished. So, um, this whole like making it simple thing has been like a weird revelation for me. Like, I feel like it never really occurred to me that maybe I could just not worry that hard about the plot. Just like pick some characters, give them a little problem, and see what they do with it.
Mhm.
Um, but do you think so? For a reader magnet, like my reader magnet's going to be 20,000 words. So this is not. I mean, it's not big enough for a very long story. But do you think you could get away with that for like an 80,000 word actual novel, or does it need to
Yes.
be? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like as writers, we put way too much focus on just like you said, not being too tropey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that especially in the romance, but I feel like the same is for all genres. That I mean the thing is that like we have trends, and the reason we have trends is because readers like tropes.
Mm-hmm.
They get tired of tropes, but the thing is that like when you're writing like like when vampires were all the rage, when vampire romance, vampire dark romance and erotica was like all of the rage. um it was all the same story, and people read that same story over and over and over again. And the thing is that like some people got creative about what a vampire was, uh but at the end of the day it's the same tropes, and it's really how readable your story is,
Mm-hmm.
um and how you use the tropes. It's not the tropes that's the problem, it's how they're used. So yes, I think there is absolutely nothing wrong in taking a story. My favorite example for like why this is okay will always be West Side Story.
Yeah.
I love West Side Story. Um, Independently from Romeo and Juliet, and also I love it as being like a really cool retelling of Romeo and Juliet. And I don't think I mean, I'm sure back when it first came out that there were people who poo-pooed it, but I don't think there's anybody today who says, I don't like West Side Story because it's just another telling of Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a really good point. I mean, there are tropes that just survive over and over again. I think what's hard is in, I mean, as a writer, you're sort of constantly being told that you need to be unique, right? And there are some stories that come out that are unique. Every year there's thing, maybe not like, unique in the entire span of the universe, okay, but like let's take things like that movie The Shape of Water. Okay, so that was kind of a classic romance, and then at the same time it was a girl falling in love with a fish. And
Yes.
okay, and it was weird and awesome. And I think you see something like that and you're like, wow, that's it. Like that's the thing that we all want to create. Or Hamilton is so popular, right? And I love Hamilton the musical. I loved it. The story is something that we all know, and somehow seeing it in music form, it's a different story than what's out there in musicals. So it's amazing.
I agree with that, but also like and like how, great it is to be original, but I can't help thinking that this is like the same as being afraid of I think the one that came up most recently was and not to be politicizing, it's just something that I read recently, is the fact of like people being scared of Mexicans when more people died from lettuce last year than Mexicans. So I feel like really that's a really weird metaphor to bring into this, but I feel like for every single Hamilton and Shape of Water that's out there, we have like 500 um Cloud Atlas,
Mm.
which I realize like I'm also picking something that did very well. But I'm picking Cloud Atlas because especially when they made it into a movie, it's completely inaccessible. It turned into complete gibberish that really, and I'm sure somebody is going to argue me and say, "Oh my God, Cloud Atlas was amazing." It makes no sense. Um, it's one of those things that's so inaccessible that the only reason that people liked it so much is because it was really weird and there wasn't actually any really amazing thing in the movie, not necessarily the book. But so like I feel like it's cool to be original, but like that is not a basket to put your eggs into.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a really good point. Original can often mean overly complex, and that's where I think we mess it all up. At least for me too. I
Yeah.
think there's something of a like there's something to be said for developing the muscle of writing just a lot. And if you're trying
Yeah.
to write a lot and make the stories accessible, then maybe you do need to learn when to sacrifice complexity and originality for just being able to get your shit
Yeah.
done. Because otherwise you can't do it. I mean, you can't do multiple stories a year and also be super creative. I don't know.
Oh
Maybe there's
no.
somebody who can,
No,
but I can't.
those are also all every single thing that we've mentioned is works that it took the author probably a decade to write, and that's just not feasible unless you've got like a benefactor or whatever, or you've already you've got family money or whatever your situation happens to be. I think originality is more coming up with a unique twist on tropes,
Mm-hmm.
or like putting together two tropes that don't normally go together. Like I really feel like that is where you're going to win on the originality, but also marketability
Yeah, no,
aspect of things.
that's a really good point. And those are things that we can do that are accessible. It is almost 5. We have
It
talked our
is.
way through our
I
break.
like where this conversation is going, so I
Mm-hmm.
think we should table it and continue it with
Sure.
our next stretch. So we're gonna go ahead and get that 30 minutes on the clock. Hey, look, we're using Hangouts from Google. Hey.
Hey.
Okay. So go ahead and start now.
Okay, we are back.
We're back. How'd you
Yeah.
do?
All right, let's see. 720.
Nice.
Yeah, a little
I
lower than last time, but okay. You?
I got about the same. That was my best.
So we are doing well.
Yeah. I'm up to about 1,400 for this session, which is cool because my count's been a little low lately.
Yeah, I'm at 5,192 for the day. So,
Nice.
yeah. I so
I'm
my
never
what?
I'm never that good. 5,000, like I get 5,000 like maybe twice during the month of Nano, and that means twice during the year.
Yeah, and this was like surprisingly relaxed too. Like I don't feel like I'm rushing it. I feel like I'm just writing it because I need the words to be good enough that I don't have to redo them. This is linear writing. I'm not
I
even.
mean, you're finally a linear writer. You have finally learned the world of linear writing.
I think I had to go back to my fan fiction and practice it for a while, which was hard. I am not as good at that as I used to. I had to like make my characters angsty to make it work. But okay, so you wanted to continue the conversation.
Okay. Really quickly though, before we continue that conversation,
Mm-hmm.
I do have a little bit of show and tell.
Ooh.
So like it's a lot of cat right now, but I got like one strip
Whoa.
a Bargello done. This is the first time I've ever done a Bargello quilt. And my cat is cleaning herself on it.
That's beautiful. Wow.
So this is going to be the center of the quilt. It's not actually going on this bed. It is for Ken's bed, my roommate's. But it's going to be this, and then two kind of like arrow motifs going into it. And then there's going to be like an ombre diamond pattern breaking them up.
Oh,
So
that's
it's
beautiful.
going to be on a bed this size. Which actually, now that I have laid this on here, I feel a little bit better about it because I thought, oh, that is really super small when I made it. But now that I am actually seeing it on a bed instead of on my coffee table, I am liking the amount of space that it's taking up now.
Yeah, no, those are very narrow little strips. Wow, your cat loves that. That is exactly what my dog does, by the way. Like, oh, new
Yeah,
fabric that you just sewed. I think I will sit my butt down on it.
yeah. Like I've got like a quilt folded up on top of a quilt in my craft room. I don't know what that was right there. But I have a quilt folded up on top of a quilt in my craft room. And yeah, my hand is about to get demolished. But yeah, like she had to lay on this, um, which was elsewhere on that quilt. But like for that entire bed, she had to be on the one unfinished project on it. She's not actually demolishing my hand.
No.
Oh, there we go.
Oh.
But nope, maybe not.
Oh.
Anyways, so our previous conversation. So, what do you think? Um, what do you think is the trick to both being original and marketable?
Uh, I don't know. I mean,
There we go.
oh, she did it. Just totally distracted. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. So what I've been thinking about recently with this is that maybe we've sort of overdone it a little. Like, I don't know about other readers, but for me, nowadays, when I read something that looks too complex, like I pick up a YA book and it has like multiple characters introduced in like the very first chapter, and it appears as though I'm going to need to understand all of them, and the world is complicated, and like I can't tell if the character that I'm with is the main character because it could be just a side character because they're not portrayed in a very high status way. So like when these things happen, my brain kind of shuts down. It kind of goes, I am reading YA because I want fun, not because I'm looking for complicated thriller like literature, and so I get annoyed. It's like it's becomes a little too complex. And I don't know. I think maybe we're in an age where like we've seen a lot of really impressive stuff, and like artsy originality actually starts to just feel like you're trying too hard. I sometimes just want a story where I know the characters I like are gonna be happy in the end and fulfilled.
So that is why you are heading toward romance now, because you actually just want
A
that
happy
generic.
ever. Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, maybe that makes me a really good candidate for a romance writer. I don't know, but I do think it's I think it's a problem in literature. And honestly, the stuff that you
I
read
think it's a
isn't.
problem with YA. The fact that they have forgotten, like we call it YA, but that's not really what the market is anymore.
No, although I mean, even with YA too, I so there's this book on my shelf right now. It's Children of Blood and Bone, and this is one of the most popular books of the year, apparently. So the beginning to this goes, Zele Adebola. I can't pronounce her name. To me, that's like an instant. Oh my gosh.
Strike one right there.
Yeah. Remembers when the soil of Arisha hummed with magic, burners ignited flames, tiders beckoned waves, and Zele's reaper mother summoned souls. But everything changed once magic disappeared. Okay, so here's the thing.
Wait, that was the first sentence, or that was
It's the blurb.
the back?
But here's the crazy thing. So that blurb is almost a direct copy of the like beginning title to Avatar: The Last Airbender, which goes something to the effect of it's like, I remember a time when the firebenders were friends with the waterbenders, and my mother was.
Exactly what you're talking about. Not because like I know it directly, but like yes.
There's
Yes,
actually yeah. There's this sort of like iconic thing where the girl, the narrator of the cartoon series that I'm talking about, goes, but everything changed once the Fire Lord took over, or something like that. So
Yes.
here we're talking about burners, tiders, everything changing once magic disappeared. And oh, there's a crown prince who's hell-bent on eradicating magic for good. There's also a crown prince in Avatar. This is Avatar: The Last Airbender fan fiction. It's
It
not.
probably is.
Yeah.
That probably, I bet like if you poke around on the internet, you could find that it's the origin of it. Absolutely.
Oh, I
Just
don't.
Just
Yeah.
like 50 Shades of Grey.
I mean, it's not even just like and I get this because that was my inspiration as well. But I don't know. I mean, I felt like, to me, if you love a series like that, then what you love is, I don't know, like you love the idea of having characters that you root for. You love the idea of having elemental magic, but you don't need to copy the beginning of the
Right.
narration.
Yeah, use a little bit of creativity there. Like even if it is like a fanfic that's been turned into something.
I mean, that's the actual
yeah.
show. Like it's,
Yeah.
it's.
Oh yeah, that was like the intro. Like that was what
Mhm.
they said at the beginning of it, right?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
the beginning of, like Star Trek, because I'm that kind of nerd.
It's exactly that.
Well, yeah.
And I'm sure I'm like probably one of the only people in the universe who would notice this because I'm so obsessed with the show. So, like, generally speaking, this is fine, and we consider this totally creative. Like, the book is considered the best fantasy of the year. It's the thing everybody wants.
Yeah.
It's super rich. It's super rich because it's based on a super rich cartoon. I mean, it's. I hope it's amazing when I read it, but this kind of thing makes me feel like we've gone that far, right? Like we've gone from like people need to be like creative to you need to find something that looks creative and then make it even better. And and this probably is, but that's not, I don't know. It's sort
yeah,
of,
no, and it's funny because this was something that came up in conversation at work recently, that like I didn't really think anything about it at the time, but now that you're talking about it, because so I've been reading, or excuse me, I've been watching Outlander. I know I've mentioned this before, but I've been watching the series. I don't know how I feel about the series, but like it's just enough that I keep going. But like I don't know, like it's one of those things where you with my job, you can either stand in silence all day or you can like talk about something all day. And so like to fill the void with my coworker Ashley, I've just been like explaining episodes to her as
Nice.
I'm watching it. She's never watched it, she's never read it, but she is like a super mega queen of fanfic communities. So she was just mentioning that the author of Outlander, Diana Gabaldon, I believe is her name, is like really super hardcore anti fanfic, and like you cannot post fanfic for Outlander, it gets shut down, she pulls copyright, that whole thing, and just gets like really really angry at people who do fanfic. But like now that you're mentioning the fact that like this story that you're reading, or that you own, is probably literally a fanfic that they did just enough, you know, to make it publishable. Yeah, I can see where somebody would get a little upset about that. Like, it's one thing to like be inspired by somebody else's story, but it's another thing to like just take that world and rebrand it as your own.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like that thing I just read you. So the exact Avatar quote goes, "Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony. Then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked." I mean, it's and literally like the main character is a waterbender. The like main villain is a firebender. So like, I mean, they're not igniters.
The story, it's the Tider is the
The main girl's mother dies. I opened the book and started reading it first, and I almost I closed it because like it's about her mother dying, and I was at first thinking, oh my god, that's so dark. Then I read the blurb and went, oh my god, like literally this is.
Have you looked this up to find out if that is the origin of it?
I don't have the heart to do it. Because you know what, like I get something like the Outlander thing, and at the same time, I love fan fiction. And if this woman is writing an amazing story and it captures me, I mean, God, I love the cartoon. Maybe I'll love the book. I just I do kind of feel like you ought to admit it. I think it's okay to say this was inspired by Avatar: The Last Airbender, and then it makes you more honest. Like, it forces you to say inspired by, and so I, you know, work to change the characters. Like, this is how I did it different. And
you know, even like obviously the like most like obvious example of this is 50 Shades of Grey.
And the Twilight
but there
stuff,
is nothing of Twilight remaining in that, unless, you know, I've only read the first one, so
no, but you're right.
And later on in it, but I doubt that. Like, I feel like that was absolutely, even though it is exactly what we're talking about with not, you know, copying somebody's world. I feel like this is absolutely, that was an example of just being inspired by somebody else's work instead of using their work, like taking their work and putting it into your work.
I completely agree. And that would be a case where somebody went, oh my gosh, like, I love this idea of the pathetic girl who meets the alpha male who has everything, and like the amazing cuddly family, and like they sparkle. And I mean, okay, so Christian Grey's family kind of sparkles with money.
You know what's funny is I never thought about the family thing before, but that makes so much sense.
Oh my god, everybody's like shipped up together. Like they all ship Christian and Anna together. It's the same in Twilight.
I can't believe I never thought about that before.
But that's good, right? Because it means that writer, the 50 Shades writer, right? Like basically captured the feeling that people love when they read Twilight. Like, why do you read Twilight? It gives you good feels.
So his bodyguard, who is that in 50 Shades of Grey? Or in Twilight?
Possibly a brother. I mean, there's no Jacob in 50 Shades, not really, but
I think her mustache dad. Oh no, I guess her dad is in 50 Shades of Grey, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. But you're totally right that like
I only know him as Mustache Dad. Because really, of the series, mostly from Riff Tracks, and the Mystery Science Theater guys got a hold of it. It's
It's
5:45 now.
5:45. Okay, all right. So we'll give some last thoughts on that after we write for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, we're putting this last 10 minutes. That was like a revelation for me. I just want you to know that. Like
Okay.
okay, I gotta start writing now.
Oh, 10 minutes goes by so fast.
It does when you're being productive.
It does, it does. Okay, so let's see that final word count. Do you have yours already?
I think, yes, I had about 250 because I was at like 1400 before. I'm at 1640 now. Yeah, 250. And I just like, I just hit their like first, almost romantic moment. Which like the
Oh,
story was not like it's this is absolutely like a big build up to the romance. So I don't feel like I'm behind it all and just now hitting it.
so I think I got 351, and that puts my word count for the day at 5,543. So to get my 7,000, I need another like 1,400 words. I think I can do that before I go
Yeah.
to bed. So that's a
Yeah.
super productive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. But you were averaging about that in an hour this morning, right?
Um.
Or was
So
it
this morning I was at about about 1,100 per hour, and then so I
okay?
guess in this session. So what? How do we do that here? So that would have been. So what would be my total for our session here? I think this is a very efficient way to write, and that we like underestimate the power of little bursts like that. So this is 2,000. So
Yeah.
so about the same, except that we're writing for less time. So I think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
this
If you
is.
got 2,000 in 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
um, while having these breaks, I think that's a fantastic pace.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
it's good.
yeah,
And I mean, it is true that you have to think about when you can write. I mean, at 6 o'clock at night, I'm not as fresh as I am at 9 in the morning.
yeah,
So being able to write this now is after having written most of the day is good. I think this is super productive.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I was gonna say something
But
about
then now you're gonna
Twilight.
take a break for like dinner and everything. So I feel like right before bed,
Hmm.
like an hour there, you should be able to do pretty well.
Yeah, and I think if I
Like,
just
I
do.
actually I find that if I have been struggling through the day,
Mhm.
normally if I force myself to sit down and write before I go to bed, I do super well then.
Yeah, so sometimes that's true for me. It kind of depends on, like, once my husband gets home, all hell breaks loose, right? Because then there's cooking and talking about his day. And
Yes.
because a writers beware, your spouse does not care about your story. Or if they do, they're a keeper, man. But, like, I'm going to say they probably don't. So,
I support that.
yeah. So you got to learn as a writer that, like, nobody really wants to know what your
Yeah.
story is about unless they're reading it. Um, I'll hear about his day. I'll tell him I was productive. He'll like that, and then we'll watch Jeopardy, and that's where it could all go off. I know,
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
um, so anyway, so if you are watching us, I hope that you got lots of words today and lots out of this. I feel like I had something else to say about Twilight, but I don't remember what it is.
It's
So,
okay because we'll rehash this forever
mm-hmm.
because this is like one of my favorite ridiculous topics that like when I have run out of other things to talk about, I'm like, let's talk about how 50 Shades
And
is a
Twilight.
fanfic of Twilight. It's a favorite of mine.
It,
So yeah, we'll
yeah.
come back around.
For sure. Okay. All right. Good. So, okay. So if you're watching us, then we will be writing again on the 21st, and I think we should close. We're almost at
Yeah,
6.
yeah. I think it's perfect time. So thanks everybody for tuning in. And happy writing this week.
Happy writing. Bye.
Bye.